What's up, YouTube? I'm Mike, and today I'm back with part 3 of what's it like to go to prison. I got my little white tee on, like my little prison issue white tee, although this tee is 10 million times whiter than anything you're gonna get in prison. So where I left you, I had just survived basically day 1. So we had intake, first meal, meet your cellie, and then the first night sleeping in the big house. And rest assured, that was, as I mentioned in the previous video, quite eye-opening. I just got through, I just woke up myself, so I'm probably looking a little bit beat up. I'm gonna try to keep it together. My sleep has been heavily impacted by this current cycle, man. I've been struggling. I may make a video about some of the weird effects that are going on, but nevertheless, so today, so you know, you go to prison and you wake up the first day, and you're in hell. You know, I mean, it's brutal. Like you know, when you spend a bunch of time in county, you know, you kind of get into the flow of things. You've got friends. You know that you're not going to be trapped in a unit all day. Sorry, I'm looking at I got a client texting me. You know, you're not going to be trapped in a housing unit the entire time, the entire day. And so there's actually things to look forward to. When you wake up in prison in the classifications unit and you know that you are going to spend 23 of the next 24 hours locked in the cell, it is really a very daunting thing for you mentally. Thankfully, there's a couple of things that start going on in the early going that kind of keep you busy. So part of the classifications process is about learning about prison and getting acclimated. So there's a variety of classes that you have to take. Most of these are very short. Most of them are like videos. One of the things that freaks you out right out the gate is that you find out that you're going to have to go have a class on what they call the PREA video. PREA stands for Prison Rape Elimination Act. So as you might imagine, you're like, wait, what? Like, it's kind of like, you know, like you see horrible shit on TV and you know these kind of things take place. Over the 7 months that I spent in county, I had been assured by like many people that there's really zero good reason that you would get raped in prison. You know, as somebody who had never been in any form of the correctional facility, going into county jail and then you know, facing the reality of having to spend some portion of my life in prison, I had this really pessimistic view. I just assumed like everybody who went to prison got raped at some point. Like that was just part of the game. And these guys are just laughing. They're like, dude, you know, that doesn't happen. I mean, it happens, but it shouldn't happen to you. So they explained that inside of the prison, you've got guys who, quote unquote, go gay for the stay. Now, say what you want. I'm kind of the opinion that you're either gay or you're not. I don't know about gay for the stay and then try to get out and be straight again. But hey, man, like I said, my channel's not about judgment, man. You do what you want to do. So one of the point that the guy was trying to make is that for these guys in prison who are looking for this type of activity, there are plenty of willing participants. And so there's not really a shortage of opportunities if that's what you happen to be into. So typically prison rape takes place in the form of like disciplinary action or over gambling debts. There's a variety of different things, prison politics, that can get you into this situation. But typically, and I'm not saying this across the board, I was very lucky. Let me go ahead and give you spoiler alert. I did not ever get raped in prison. Not even close to getting, I mean, in my entire prison experience, I had one event that I will tell you about later when I get to camp, when we get to the camp portion of this experience. that was scary. But I had no problems the entire time I was down. So you go into this classroom, and and you're there to watch this thing called the Prison Rape Elimination Act. I'm going to be careful with how I say this, because I don't want to court any disaster. I don't want to stir up any bullshit. But like I told you before, in the lower R units where I was staying, there were two rival gangs, the Norteños and the Sureños, and they were being held in opposing cell blocks with the express purpose of keeping these guys separated, because they have standing orders to basically beat each other to death on site. So you would think that if the Department of Corrections system goes to the extreme of having separate housing units for these guys, that they would be smart enough not to put them in the same class together. Unfortunately, they're either A, not smart enough, or B, what it really looked like is that they did that shit intentionally. And over the course of this video series, I'm gonna let you in on a lot of details. There's a lot of scandalous shit going on inside of America's prisons, and the prison guards are in on it in a major way. If you've ever watched Sons of Anarchy, you'll see some examples there of the kind of shit that can and does go on in America's prisons. These prison guards, they vary, man. Some of these guys are like hall monitors that got picked on in school, and they have a fucking serious axe to grind. Some of them are like really fucking genuinely just decent people who, for whatever reason, chose this career. Maybe because they want to help people. Like, I don't know the reasons. A lot of them are in corrections because they're trying to become police officers. But they don't make a lot of money. And so there's a lot of opportunity for corruption and for scandalous fucking behavior to go on. So outside of this little classroom that we're in, it's got like an old 1995 CRT box TV, like on a fucking rolling thing like you used to see in high school. We go in and we go in to watch this video, the Prison Rape Elimination Act video, and one of the gang members is in the room. And he's a little dude. Like this dude, like I was little. Like I was, 5'10", 145 maybe. So we're talking about this guy was 5'8" maximum, maybe 120, 110. He was a skinny little dude, man. But his face was tatted up. He had numbers on his fucking cheeks right here. And he had some more shit. And he had a fucking crazed look in his eye. And when we walked in the room, I mean, this motherfucker is like looking for whoever's come to the room. And you can see he's hyped. Like he's real worked up. And he starts asking, again, I'm not specifying groups. He starts asking if anybody from the other group is coming. And we're all like, fuck, bro, I don't know. And sure enough, there is. And so the dude from the rival gang comes walking in. And the weird thing was that I'm pretty sure this is a predominantly Hispanic gang. Maybe this guy was like half and half or something, but he looked white to me. He looked really white to me. I think he had blonde hair, in fact. Maybe they don't racially discriminate in these gangs. I don't know fuck all about them. I just know that when the rival gang member walked in, this guy was like 6'1", maybe 6'2", every bit of 200 pounds. So we got little man over here with the tatted up face, who's maybe $120 soaking wet, and 5'8" maximum. And then you got in the other corner this other big Mexican dude who's like 6'1", 6'2", 200, maybe 6 foot 210. I don't know. The disparity in these two men is remarkable. Now, if you've ever heard the phrase, it's not about the fight it's not about the dog and the fight, it's about the fight and the dog. Holy shit, did I ever witness this firsthand? Because this little motherfucker, dude, he was ready to go. Like, he was just fucking bouncing around like a boxer in his corner. He's got all this, he is showing absolutely zero fear of this fucking big ass dude that just walked in the room. And the crazy shit was the big dude did look scared. He did not look like he wanted to fight at all, which I was shocked by because, this was not a fair fight. But the thing is, it's all mental, right? Like adrenaline, epinephrine, these neurochemicals, the rage that you're capable of harnessing, these things make a tremendous difference in your ability, apparently, to throw these hands. Because the little dude, as soon as he fucking spotted the dude, he saw his fucking tats and shit. And he was like, you and me, right now, bro, let's fucking go. And the big dude's kind of like, I literally thought he was going to try to back out of it. But he didn't. And so they square off, and little man is just like a fucking spider monkey. Boom! He's just on this dude. And you can just hear, like, we're trying not to look, but like, it's going down, like, right there behind you. And they're shuffling the fucking chairs, and you can just hear. That's what it sounds like, is this dude is just sucking the shit out of this big guy. It's just slap, slap, slap. So I can hear this clear as fucking day. And you know for goddamn certain the guards can hear every single thing that's going on. They heard the lead up. They heard the chairs moving around. They heard the shit talking. They heard the slaps that sound like somebody was getting beat half to death. And this little dude was putting a whooping on this fucking guy. Now, big dude, he fucking kind of regained some shit after he took some shots. And then he started using his weight. And he started fucking out leveraging the littler guy. So if I had to call it, if I was Joe Rogan on the cage, I would still say, little man, fuck this dude up. Like the energy that he had, the number of shots that he landed, the voraciousness of this guy's the fight in this dog was some of the most serious shit I have ever seen in life. And as a little guy, I gotta tell you, man, that was inspiring because in my current state of mind, I would have been, my state of mind then, I would have been doing everything in my power to avoid getting in a fight with that fucking guy. And so that shit kind of amped me up. It made me realize, the truthfulness to a lot of the things you hear. Cause like I said, I wasn't on the streets, man. Like I grew up. I didn't fight. Like, I was not getting in fights. My fighting experience is very limited in life. I've had some, but it's very limited. And so, watching that firsthand, that how little the size difference actually mattered when that dude was able to harness that internal fire, and he put fucking hands all over that dude. So finally, after these dudes are beating the shit out of each other for what, I don't know, 30, 45 seconds, a minute, I don't know how long, it's a lot of hits. Finally, it's like the guards are standing out front like, oh, what? Hey, what's going on in there? And then they like slow fuck ass come in and finally break the shit up and then send both these guys to the hole. So it has a feel, man, like, it's almost like it's just set up, is what it feels like. It makes me wonder if they literally were not standing out front of the fucking room placing bets on who was going to win. Because the entire shit could have been avoided. They knew exactly what group each of these guys was from. They intentionally put them in a room together, and then they intentionally stood as far away as they could possibly stand, and then ignored all of the fucking signs and sounds and symptoms of a beatdown and let that shit go on for a while before they ever did anything about it. So that was wild. So then everything gets settled down and you get to sit and you watch the Prison Rape Elimination Act. And what this video is designed to do is to try to warn you of the kinds of manipulative things that will happen inside of America's correctional facilities that can lead to you getting into some type of sexual abuse situation. The video is actually funny, if you believe it or not. The videos are shot by inmates in some facility, and they show in the video, it's like it's like dude's first day, and this one inmate takes a candy bar. And he goes and he puts it on dude's pillow. And so they're trying to teach you in this video that this is an invitation. Okay, this candy's not free. So if somebody puts candy or some type of commissary or some type of freebie on your bed, you do not eat it, take it, use it, whatever. Because if you eat the candy bar, later on that night, payment's gonna come due. Now that, I don't know that shit really happens because we all make jokes about that shit. I don't know if that's how it really works. Again, I spent very little time in the classification area, the closed custody area. It was certainly not that way in camp. But so basically the point is just that you don't take, there's no such thing as favors. Anything that you get for free, anything somebody tries to offer you, they're going to want something in return from that. And it could be something you really don't want to give up. And if you, and then what happens to escalate the situation is that the number one key thing you have to understand about life in prison is that it's kind of like going back to high school again. Reputation is king, okay? Reputation is king. The reputation that you have amongst the other inmates determines how safe you are going to be, what your experience is going to be. So if you have the reputation of being somebody who keeps their fucking head down, minds their own fucking business, but doesn't take shit off nobody, then you're probably gonna be okay. Depending on where you go, like if you go to closed custody facilities or maximum security facilities, these facilities are pretty much race delineated. So again, I'm only speaking about what I was told. I did not see this firsthand, thank God. But it was made clear to me that if I had been classified into a maximum security facility, that basically the second you get off the chain bus, you're gonna, like, if you're a white guy, you're gonna be approached by the white boys, which they call the Peckerwoods, and they're gonna say, "What car are you riding in?" And the car you ride in is the group that you are representing. So if you're a white boy, typically you say, I'm a fucking Peckerwood, I'm down with the Woods. And so then kind of one of like the sergeants or leaders of the fucking Peckerwoods is going to approach you. And then there could be a number of things that could happen to you. So the first and foremost thing that is almost certainly going to happen to you is what they call, and I witnessed this actually, what they call a test of courage, I think. So you're going to be in your cell, and they're going to pop the doors for, like, let's say lunch, and one of the other Peckerwoods, or more than one of them, is going to run up in your cell. One of the guys that's trying to become friends with you is going to run up in your cell and start beating the shit out of you. He's going to fight you, and you are expected to fight back. And it was made clear to me that it's not about winning. You don't have to win the fight, but you have to fight the fight. And you have to take or give whatever ass beating you're capable of taking or giving, and then you have to shut the fuck up about it. Because the second that you get found and you have any kind of marks on your body, they do what's called knuckle checks. If somebody is found injured, so like let's say you're walking to chow and you just got in a fight and you're bleeding, you know, you've got, like, let's say your eye is black or it's bleeding or whatever, they're gonna fucking grab you and they're gonna say, who kicked your ass? And you are gonna shut the fuck up and you're not gonna say anything. And depending on the facility that you're in, they could lock that entire wing of the facility down and they could go cell to cell doing what is called a knuckle check. So if they find one inmate has been beaten up or looks like he's been beaten up, they will go and have you hold your fucking hands out of the cell block little port or open the door, and they will go and they will look at every inmate's knuckles to see if anybody has scratches, abrasions, looks like they just got through punching somebody. And if your knuckles look like you just got through punching somebody, guilty as charged. That's all it takes. It doesn't matter. There's no court, there's no hearings, there's no evidence. You either have fucking bloody knuckles or you don't. And if they've got a guy with a busted eye and they find another guy with bloody knuckles, both of y'all are going to the hole. Anytime there's a fight, it doesn't matter who starts it, who finishes it, it doesn't matter the reason. Anytime there's a fight, both people involved in the fight go to the hole automatically. And this can be a really big deal if you are in minimum custody. So like if I had gotten into a fight in minimum security prison, every time you get into an altercation that requires you to be transported to the hole, you lose what is called custody points. And so when you go to classifications, which I'll talk about in a second, well, I'll talk about it now. So one of the other things that you do when you're in classifications is you get classified to the prison that you're going to go to. So these two things kind of go hand in hand. So you sit down with a counselor, like in this case, after the PREA video was over, then you sit down with a counselor. And in this case, it was a female, and she goes over all of the data about you. So she's looking at how old you are, what the nature of your crime was, how many times you've been arrested, how many felonies what your rap sheet is, if you've ever been held in a state Department of Corrections facility, if you're a security threat group, which means you've been assigned, you've been labeled as a gang member. There's all of these factors. And so you start out with a certain number of points. Let's say it's like 50 points. And then every strike against you costs you points. So like, for example, if you're under the age of 21 or 25, like you lose points for being under 21, you lose points for being under 25, just out the gate, because the vast majority of the violence that takes place in prison is carried out by very young people. It's the young guys that are all full of fucking testosterone and trying to make a name for themselves, and they are responsible for the majority of the fucking prison violence and prison problems. And so they know this, and so if you catch a charge as a young man, chances are you're going to go to at least a medium or maximum, possibly maximum security facility, purely on, now this is in Washington State. This is purely based on the fact that because you are young, you lose like 7 points right out the gate. I was 28 at the time, and so I lost no points. Then they get down to, okay, have you ever been to prison before? No, so I'm good. Hey, are you a member of a security threat group? No, so I'm good. Are you a member of that? Yeah, and then what's your crime? So my crime was unlawful imprisonment, which is a Class C misdemeanor. A Class C felony. So that's like a point or two. And then the weapon enhancement cost me a couple points, but it wasn't even close. So like, she was like, you're totally good. You're going to be going to minimum security work camp. So it's like, whew, big sigh of relief there. I'm not going to have to worry about any of the really scary shit. I'm going to be going, to daddy daycare is what they called it. And so I'm breathing a big sigh of relief. So these custody points, so whatever number of custody points you're left with after classifications, and let's say I started out with 50, maybe I lost 5, and you have to have, let's say, 30 to go to camp. If I start getting in fights and shit, then I can lose enough custody points to where I could lose my classification. So if I caused a bunch of problems in class, if I had gotten in a fight, say the PREA room or wherever, then I could have fucked around and lost enough points where I would end up going to medium security instead of minimum. So that's one of the ways that they try to attempt to control behaviors on the inside, and that's how they can try to keep things safe, because there's an incentive to always do good so that you can go to the facilities with the maximum amount of amenities. And so one of the other things is the only way that you can go to a prison camp is you have to have 5 years or less. So that doesn't mean that just because you're in a prison camp that you have committed a minor crime. In fact, one of my best friends that I made when I was in camp was a guy who murdered somebody. In fact, he murdered his best friend. He found out that his best friend was sleeping with his girl, and he didn't say shit about it, and called this dude up and was like, hey man, you want to go out, have some drinks? And they went out to their little favorite spot in the woods, and while his buddy wasn't paying attention, standing out by a tree, taking a leak, this dude came up behind him, fucking stabbed him to death. And so he caught murder too, got sentenced to 20 years, He was a young man when he did it, and so by the time he had served 15 of his 20 years, and he didn't get in any real trouble while he was locked down, then he earned enough points back, and he was in camp with me. So being in camp doesn't mean you're just with low-time offenders. It just means that anybody who's in there has had a history of not causing problems, and they have fewer than 5 years or less before they are going to be released. And so that's where I end up being classified to. So there's all kinds of prison politics, like I was saying before I start talking about classifications. So if you go to, if you try to join a gang because you go to maximum security, so like I was saying, if you want to join up with the Peckerwoods and they jump you in and you get caught or you get discovered to have been fighting, then you're going to go to the hole. So it's like, here you just got to prison. Here you're trying to make a name for yourself. You're trying to get respected by this group of people, because what you're really after is protection. You know, you don't want to go to a maximum security prison and try to just do your own time, keep your head down, because there's so much politics going on inside these facilities that can get you seriously injured. So for example, when you get off the chain bus and you're a white dude and the guy says, hey, who are you with? And you go, oh man, I'm not really about all that shit. I'm trying to do my own time or whatever. And the guy's like, oh, okay, cool, you know, whatever. And then the next guy gets off the chain and they're like, who are you riding with? And he says, man, I'm with the Woods. And the guy's like, okay. And so they fight, and then he gets jumped in, and he passes his test of courage. One of the things that they will also do is have you, I forget the word, it's run missions. So another way they might test your will is the dude might say, okay, you want to be down with us? That's cool, but we're going to test your fucking will. That guy over there that just got off the chain, the guy I was talking to before I was talking to you, he's not cool with us. He thinks he's going to do his time on his own, so we're going to teach him a fucking lesson. And you're going to teach it to him. So I want you, next time we go to fucking wreck, I want you to beat that motherfucker's ass. That's your test of fucking courage. Your test of courage could be a lot of things. It could be being sent on a mission to beat up some guy who didn't want to join up. It could be to beat up a guy from a rival gang because an order came down. It could be that they send you to a visit, you know, that they coordinate a visit, and maybe a female is in the visiting center and she has smuggled some kind of contraband into the facility in her parts, and she has gone into the bathroom in the visitor center and she has secured the contraband, like let's say inside of the toilet, and then you go in there after her and you are expected to take that contraband and put it up your parts and smuggle it back to whoever the shot caller of your group is. These are the kind of things you might have to do in order to earn the respect of the particular car or group that you are trying to get protection from. And so they put you through these things to make sure that you will do what you're told to do, and most importantly, that you will not snitch on anybody that told you to do it. They want foot soldiers. They want people who are committed to the program, and that they know have the mental fortitude that if they get caught doing something gang related, that they will go serve their time in the hole and they will not implicate anybody else. And so that's what you go through potentially right out the gate on day one. You know, you could land in classifications, find out you're going to close custody, and get jumped into a gang and spend the first 2 weeks in the hole because you got caught fighting. Or there's any number of prison politic things that go on in these in the higher levels of custody, in the closed custody maximum security facilities. Luckily, that was not where they were sending me. So once I got classified as minimum security, then I was ordered to be transferred to what they call the upper R's. So the lower R's are R1, 2, and 3, and then the upper R's are R's 4, 5, and 6. 6 and 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. 6 and 7 are for the guys who are going to minimum security. And so I spent about 3 or 4 days. Sorry, the dreaded camera cut off. So I spent 4 days in R3 until I was classified. And then, which also includes going to get your vision screening. It includes a DNA, that you have to give a DNA sample. Since you're a felon, they put your DNA in the federal database. So you have to go you're forced to give a cheek swab. They do blood work to make sure you don't have TB or Hep C or any kind of contagious diseases, because that also affects your classifications. Like I said, vision screening, general health screening to make sure, you know, you're not like a fucking diabetic, you're not on any kind of meds, none of these kinds of things. And so when I got classified to minimum security, then I was transferred from R3 to R6. So in R6, I come walking into this new unit. So understand, for the past 4 days, I've been in Shawshank Redemption. I've been in the fucking bars that slide open, the tiny, dirty little cells, the fucking tattoo-covered fucking gangbangers, like all of the hardened criminals and murderers and fucking rapists and shit. The guy that used to come around in the first few days and hand out underwear was this big, huge Mexican dude, and he handed me this pair of underwear, and I looked at it, and it kind of had holes in it, and I was like, hey, man, actually, you know what? That happened later. We'll get to that. So, I get to R6, and it's like a dormitory. It looks like a college. I couldn't fucking believe it. I walk in the door, there's this big, huge day room, and then there's like 3 halls like that go off like spokes of a wagon wheel. And when I happened to get there, they were doing room cleaning. And so there's all these people just out in a hall. They've got spray chemicals, they've got mop buckets, they've got all this shit, and they were cleaning their cells. And I find out that in the minimum security wing, you're not locked down 23 hours a day. You could come and go from your cell. You got a TV in your cell that you and your cellie share. It's a bunk bed, but it's a bigger room. You got like 40-something channels. So I get into this fucking cell, and I meet this guy, and he's a super cool guy, and he's like, hey man, I forget what show. He was watching some show. It was like a series, you know, and I'm thinking, man, compared to where I've been, I'm in heaven right now. I'm beaming. I'm feeling so good. I got a phone call, talked to my dad, let him know what was going on, that I was fucking safe and okay. I'd made it through classifications, and I was going to be sitting up here chilling, basically watching TV and playing board games and cards and shit and kick back and hitting the yard until I got sent to whichever one of the minimum security prisons I was going to. No sooner than I was in that fucking cell for maybe a couple of fucking hours, cop comes on the speaker and goes, Van Dusen, I need to see you. That's fucking weird. So I'm like, okay. So I climb down my rack. I go up to the fucking guard desk, and he slides this fucking paper underneath this little window, and he goes, you're going to be transported back to county tomorrow. What? He's like, I was like, why? He goes, I don't know. Something came up, but it's not my business. We got transfer order, so you know, have your shit ready to go. We're going to call you sometime in the morning, and you're going to be transported back to county. So I've been through this entire process. I've gotten acclimated to prison. I've gotten acclimated to the gang scene. I've finally been classified. I got the good news that I was going to minimum security. I just got this fucking super cool cellie. I was expecting to be laying up in the room, watching TV and chilling. Next thing I know, I'm going back to county. And so I go back to my cell, and Cellie's like, dude, what's going on, man? And I said, man, they're sending me back to county. And he looks real grim. And I'm like, what? Why do you think they're doing that? And he's like, man, I hate to break it to you, bro, but that usually means you got new charges. And my whole fucking body went numb again. Like, just that wave just passes over you, and I can just feel every cell in my body is just like hurting and tingling and vibrating. It's just like total fucking terror. I just spent 7 fucking months fighting this case. Jury trial. I get my 2 years, my less than 2 year sentence. I've made it to prison. I've been classified. I'm finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and now I'm going back to fucking county to start in booking all over again. And this guy's telling me I probably have new charges. The whole night, man, I couldn't sleep. Like I was up all night just like fucking sweating panic attack. My brain is just racing 90 fucking miles an hour trying to figure out what they charged me with every fucking possible thing under the sun. And so you're laying there all night in that bunk and you're just searching through your entire life's history trying to figure out what could they possibly be charging you for on top of everything you've been through. And so next morning comes and I roll up all my shit again, turn in all my prison issue clothes and everything they've given me, and I get back on the fucking chain bus to head back to county to figure out what fresh hell they have got me into now. So there you have it. That was the classifications process. What was basically my first week in the big house in prison at Shelton Correctional Facility in Washington State. And so tomorrow I will detail what happened when I got back to county, and we'll take the next step in this very long journey of what it is like going to prison. So thank you to all of you who have been very kind in the comments about my storytelling. It is not fun to relive this shit, man, but hopefully it'll be of value to somebody, at least get some entertainment, and hopefully, you know, this will inspire you to always protect the cycle, man, because I'm telling you, like, whatever you're up against, whatever you're faced with, whatever little road rage situation you're in, whatever stupid fight you got going on with your girl, man, you do not want to go through this shit. It really irreparably fucked me up, and retelling it is honestly kind of just tearing open a lot of fucking old wounds. So I hope you guys appreciate that, and as always, we'll see you on the next one.